What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host, Vernon. This is the Assiniboine River. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, oftentimes in my videos I will say that I'm new to the area or it's the first time fishing a particular spot. And the simple reason for that is I want people to know that I don't know where the good spots are. I just simply go out to these spots and actually try my luck out there. Now the bridge you see here behind me, that is the Assiniboine Park bridge. It goes over the Assiniboine River to the Assiniboine Park. The first video I did out here, I was actually right next to the bridge there, thinking that the bridge is a great place to find fish. That structure in the water, that's where the fish will be. That's why I tried out there and we got some good fish. But right now, with the water being a bit lower, you can actually see the lay of the land. You can see how the river flows. It is actually quite clear that right next to the bridge there it is very shallow. It's not the ideal place to be fishing. We were lucky with the fish we got out there, but right now you can see it's rather shallow and there are a few deeper looking holes. And it's simply with this knowledge that I want to try out there today to see if we go to these deeper holes, we get some baits out there, if we can find fish. Alright, so I picked a particular spot right next to the little bridge here that grants us access to what looks to be a little bit deeper water. There's quite a lot of rocks and shallow area on this side, and then suddenly there's these riffles and then it drops off into a deeper pool, it looks like. Moving a bit away from the bridge to try and fish in these deeper channels, and we have a little pipe that's running in here, so anything where you have some nutrients or food washing in, maybe some fish will be in this area as well. So quite a lot of different places where I can try to find fish. The last time when I was fishing on the opposite side there, I only had night crawlers with me, so to keep it fair, I'm going to be using night crawlers as well. Just using a little pickerel rig with 2 baited hooks of night crawlers. Now today was supposed to be a nice and sunny day, but all of a sudden it got a little bit windy and we have some fog in the area. Maybe the fog will lift and we'll get some sunlight, but that's not a bad thing for the moment. Having low light conditions might be better to get some fish. I'm going to get the baits out there, we'll see what happens. Alright, it's only been 5 minutes and we already got a hit, and now we get these tiny little taps on there. So I'm thinking maybe we have a small fish on the line. I wanted to leave it out there to see whether it will actually take and indicate that there's a fish there. But getting these little taps, it's probably a small fish on the line. So quickly going to check on the baits. We may be going to just have to rebait, or maybe we have a small fish on. It actually feels a bit heavier. I don't think it's a small fish if we do have something on. And it's a little tree. So not a fish at all, but a little tree stump there. Something that just washed down and got hooked on our little hook there. But our baits are kind of destroyed, so just going to rebait, get it back out. Alright, we just cast this one out and we have signs of life. There we go, we have a fish on. This fish is swimming sideways and downstream. That's something that typically suckerfish like to do. There we go, first little fish for today. And it is indeed a nice big chunky suckerfish. Little red horse. This is a very nice sized one. Gonna get a measurement on him. So here in Manitoba they don't have a different size for all of the sucker fish. So any sucker fish can go into the master angler. This is a nice one, so definitely want to get a measurement on this one. Just want to give him some oxygen, keep him oxygenated, have a couple of quick looks at him, measure him, get him back to the water. It's very important to not keep this fish out of the water for very long. Let's quickly get a measurement on this guy. Alright, so this is 18 inch. That is 46 centimeters. Now, of course, I have to look at the regulations for what the size for sucker fish are, but I think it's something like 45. So 46 is just enough to be a master angler. The first fish landed today, little master. Now, it's very difficult with the sucker fish to actually determine what species they are. You have to look at the mouth there. If I had to guess, I would say this one is a golden red horse, just because it doesn't have the vibrant red colors, a little bit of black there on the dorsal fin. But I have to look at the book to determine which red horse this is. Now, what's nice about this red horse is he also has some girth to him. It's not just a long body, he also has some shoulders. So, good little fish. Let's get him back to the water. Strong kick from him, and there he goes. God, and I thought that was a red horse the way he went downriver and towards the bank. That is typically something you get from the sucker fish. They run down towards the bank, whereas other fish try to run away. They try to get closer, because normally when they come closer, that tends to let some tension off the hook and they get the hook out. Well, that was a cool catch for our first catch. Just going to rebait, get it back out there. There we go, another fish on. So have some geese going overhead. This fish is not putting up a lot of a fight. I mean, now starting to fight a little bit. It is a baby channel catfish. You'd expect to get some catfish out there. Of course, they do grow a lot bigger than this. This is still fun size to catch. First channel cat for today. Let's get him back to the water. Now I'm dropping him into the water, because once they see the water, they start wriggling around. You don't want to get spined by those guys. That does hurt quite a lot. That's why I'd rather just drop them into the water, let them swim off. Alright, we've not been here for half an hour and we're already getting quite a lot of activity out there, a lot of action. I don't know whether it's better to go out deep or in shallow. I'm also seeing quite a lot of things moving here in the shallows. So I think rather than going out in deep, I'm going to go a bit shallow first, see if we get something different. So with the baits in closer, I'm getting quite a lot of action and activity. It's kind of instant. You throw it out and immediately start getting bites. But with the hooks I'm using, I'm not getting these fish that's rather in close. So I think I'm rather going to take my baits and get them out into deeper water, hoping for the bigger fish to go for these hooks we're using. I think we have a lot of smaller fish, and we don't want to be catching just a bunch of small catfish. Rather going out deep with the baits, and we'll see what we get out there. Had to catch up to the fish. He was swimming towards us. Feels like a nice fish again. Not putting up much of a fight, but he has some weight to him. Another little channel catfish, slightly bigger than the previous one, but still small for the size we know they can get. Decent little channel catfish. I think they're busy preparing for winter, so they're feeding pretty well. Off he goes. Of course, that's the thing with using night crawlers. You are most likely going to get some catfish. But there are quite a lot of other species that will go for the night crawlers, so we'll keep throwing them out there as long as we're getting bites. A lot of shaking on this one, so maybe another catfish. And indeed, another baby channel catfish. I'm not going to show you all of the baby channel catfish that I'm getting. I'll only show you when it's something a little bit bigger or more impressive. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get baby channel catfish. So rather than showing you all of those, I'll rather show you the 10th one. Well, we either have a big fish on, or we're stuck somewhere. I'm seeing some big splashes out there. We're just going to take our time. We don't know what snags are out there. We need logs or something for this fish to go hide under. We're just slowly going to bring him in. Hope for the best. I am using 20-pound test line. So I'm not going to tighten the drag on my reel that much. You can see we have something sticking out of the water here in front. I'm just going to try and keep the fish away from that at least. This fish is swimming towards us. He's going to go on a run any second now. Not yet seeing the fish. Well, that's a lot better channel catfish. That's what we were hoping to get. This fish is going to have a few runs still. He still has lots of energy. Just want to get our net. See if we can bring him close enough to net him. And there we go. Fish in the net. Now that's more like it. That's a good proper channel catfish. There we go. Nice catfish landed. Let's just quickly get this guy some oxygen. So even though catfish are very hardy, can stay out of the water longer than most species of fish, it's still a good idea to give them some oxygen, especially after a fight like that. He's going to be tired. The more oxygen he gets, the better. He's starting to wriggle around, so let's quickly get a measurement on him. Right, so that is an 80-inch. Not quite big enough to be a Manitoba master, but a decent fish nonetheless. Has a big belly on him. Maybe need to get a weight measurement too. Alright, that's 18.6 pounds. That is 8.5 kilograms. So nice big channel catfish here from the Assiniboine River. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the small channel catfish. Every once in a while, a big fish like this will come along. Alright, nice catch. Let's get him back to the water. Strong kick, and he's off. Nice, big catfish. Good catch. This one once again kind of swam to the side. Not feeling any head shakes or something. There we go. We do have a little fish on. Little sucker fish. This one, I think. Again, they're difficult to tell with just the colorations. But the shape of this one's snout makes me think that this is a short-haired red horse. This one's bleeding a little bit where the hook got him, so I'm not going to keep him out of the water too long. Another little red horse landed. Off he goes. When you're using sharp hooks like this and you get them in the lip, sometimes the fish do bleed. It's not that they've been hooked in the gills or anything. That was literally his lip bleeding. But it's good to get him back into the water, the cooler water that helps to just close that wound and he shouldn't bleed out. This is something that happens quite a lot when doing carp fishing as well. Those soft mouths, you just nick a little artery somewhere and they do bleed quite a lot, but it's not as bad. Just get them back to the water. being out of the water, there's a pressure difference, and that means the fish can actually lose quite a lot of blood. Getting them back into the water, that just helps to give the wound some time to heal and stop the bleeding. Alright, so just cast upstream and got snagged immediately, lost the setup that we were using. So this is now a new setup that I tied on. We got our first fish on that. So always a nervous moment just to figure out whether the knots that I tied strong enough and whether they'll hold. But again, we have a fish that's swimming to the side. Not putting up much of a fight though. There we go. Lovely little red horse. This one definitely is a short-nosed red horse. And of course, that would be the exact moment that the batteries in the GoPro need changing. But we released that little fish and he swam off. You can still see some of the mud he kicked up. He swam off. So I didn't get to show you guys the release, but at least another little fish landed, and we know our knots are tied in the right way. So we're going to get back out there. There we go. Fish is still on. See him splashing out there when he grabbed our baits. It's been a while now that we haven't had any bites or any hits. We had quite a few hits the entire morning. It's now midday and suddenly the bite kind of just slowed down. Luckily we get this one again. Now the first fish we got, the first sucker fish we got, that might just be short of a master, but this one, this is a big one. This should do as a master angler sucker fish. Let's get this one in the net. Now that's a rather impressive sucker fish. Definitely going to be my PB for sucker fish. Let's just get this guy some oxygen so we can take some measurements of him. But that's truly a monster sucker fish. They put up quite a good fight. For their size, they're actually pretty strong fish. Lovely little red horse there. So when YouTube started, there was quite a lot of fishermen that would normally give names to their fish. When catching some bass, they name the fish and they release them. That was always something that was very weird to me. I actually want to steal that idea. Down below in the comments of every video, I have a little link to PayPal. That is where if people want to donate, that helps out the channel by giving some petrol money or money for some baits. And recently we had someone that donated, and I decided that I want to start naming the fish after people that donate using the PayPal link. So with that in mind, I want to introduce you guys to Marvin Javier. If you've not done so already, please go give me a thumbs up. Thanking Marvin here for his donation to the channel. And thank you, Marvin, for your charity. That helps out quite a lot. It helps to get us on fish like these. Now, this is a lovely little sucker fish. Want to get a weight and length measurement of him. All right, so this is 21 inch. That is 54 centimeters. So that is truly decent fish, beast of a fish. Just want to get a weight measurement of him as well. Again, I'm spending a lot of time with this fish in the water. We want to keep him oxygenated. All right, that's a 2.5 kilogram. That is 5.51 pounds. That is, of course, the weight with the net. So we need to subtract the net's weight from that. I'm rather weighing it with I'm weighing this fish with the net because we don't want to be hooking that little hook through the fish or anything like that. So I'd rather just subtract the weight from this fish. Again, I'm not sure what species of suckerfish this is. It's all about the shape of the mouth. But what a great fish. We've spent enough time with him. I think it's about time we release him. Let's just get one last good look at him. So that's Marvin Javier. Let's get him back to the water. Kicking on his own, and off he goes. Good catch. Good to get him back to the water. All right. Hope you're happy with me naming that particular fish after you, Marvin. That is my biggest sucker fish and a Manitoba master angler. I'm happy with that catch. While we're on the subject of donations, I want to remind you guys that we're still doing the Finally Fishing fundraiser. That is for new camera equipment and stickers and stuff. Down in the video description, there will also be a link for that. If you want to donate to the channel, thank you for all the donations. All right, but let's get back to the fishing. Something a little bit different, a tiny little gold eye. This guy would be perfect size to use as bait, but we're going to release him. Off he goes. I'm only going to be using some night crawlers out there, otherwise that would have been great bait for some channel catfish. There we go, fish on. It's been quite a while now of having some small fish steal my baits. I think that just came off. Yep, not feeling it anymore. There was a big fish trying to run away. I could feel the hook breaking. Yep, that's the top hook gone. Now, on the top hook, I was using a slightly smaller circle hook than the one at the bottom. The one at the bottom, that is a 2/0. The one at the top, that is a size 2. Just a smaller one to get some of the smaller fish like the little gold eye and stuff. Alright, ladies and gents, it is now 2 p.m. That means I've now done some fishing out here for 4 hours. I had to pick up some night crawlers this morning, so I had to wait for Cabela's to open. I only got out here and started fishing at 10. So after 4 hours of fishing, we had a pretty good time out there. And to be honest, I'm actually kind of waiting for my alarm to go off. This is more like the way I dream about fishing. So I keep waiting to wake up from this dream. Earlier in this video, I said I'm not going to show you all of the tiny channel catfish that I'm catching, and then I only happened to catch one small one. The rest of the fish out there were pretty decent today. I'm very happy with the catches we did get out there. I hope you guys enjoyed it and give me a thumbs up for the fish we did get. Of course, feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. And if you're new here, consider hitting subscribe, joining my community. Alright, but that's going to do for this video. I want to thank you guys for tagging along. And like always, I'll see you next time.